back to the 3x5 Live
podcast.
So last week we spoke about the elimination diet, which has gotten a lot of feedback.
It has. People have been asking some questions and dialoguing with us about it. And, you know, I recognize that most of us probably have something that we are not dealing with, but something that our bodies are telling us. There's always messages and signals that are going on that maybe we haven't hit the pause button, really thought about. So if anything, maybe that topic had you kind of doing a self-assessment of your body and how it's feeling. And so if things are coming up for you, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or to connect with you about that.
Yeah, if you're in the Facebook community, you probably know Rob Jacquemin over there, and he's been pushing us to do a 21-day challenge. So if there is some interest, reach out through the community and maybe we'll do a weekly call or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would like to do the challenge with you because I feel this is a perfect time going into the fall when the seasons change. Our bodies are craving, some type of reset or just kind of
apples.
Are they craving apples?
I love apple season.
He does love apple season. No, it just craves a reset. And in the fall, your body starts to crave different types of foods, right? In the summer, we like really watery foods like watermelon and cucumbers. In the fall, we like some more comfort foods like grain bowls and some, warming foods. So it's a perfect time to kind of analyze where you're at and to do an elimination diet. So if you are interested, let us know and I will organize a 21-day clean.
And quick random plug here. If you guys have heard of Everybody Pulls the Tarp, we just got finished a podcast with Andrew over there where he interviewed us. He's interviewed a lot of Olympians and top producers and athletes. So I don't know why he had us on, but it was fun chatting with him. So check out his podcast. He's a great guy. So quick plug for Andrew over at Everybody Pulls the Tarp.
Yep.
So today we are going to just dive into something I've been wanting to talk about, one of my favorite topics. It's going to be probably pretty short, but consistency. And it's really been the X factor in my life. There's a formula that I learned a while ago, and I've talked about in the past, I guess on more people interviewing me on podcasts than on this podcast. But it's E times F times WIN to the power of C. So E is energy. And what do you do with energy? You focus it, and F is for focus, times WIN, which is what's important now. And for all you math nerds out there, if you're at 100% energy and you're 100% focus and 100% what's important now, and then you take that to the power of C and you're at 100% consistency, that literally equals infinity. So you have infinite potential or infinite ability to do whatever you're trying to accomplish when you're all at 100%. Now, if you're at 100 for energy, 100 for focus, 100 for what's important now, but you're super inconsistent, you're only at a 1, that comes out to 1.
Give an example of what's important now. What would be enter meditating? Enter.
Well, let's just say you're in a sales role and you have a time block to make calls.
Okay.
That's what's important now, not just answering some random hot email of the moment. Right now you're in a time block of doing those calls.
Okay.
So that's what's important now.
Got it.
So now the only reason I'm doing these math equations is because I think it really paints a picture. So then the third equation is, let's just say your energy is at a 10. Your focus is at a 10, whatever. And what's important now is at a 10. But you're consistent. Every day you're consistent. So consistency is 100, but you're pretty much across the board. That is equals 1 with 300 zeros. So the point in saying that is, let's say you're working on diet, or your fitness, and you're I can't get my 3-mile run in today. Well, go out for a 30-minute walk at lunch where, you're worried about being sweaty coming back to work, whatever it is. Do something to keep the consistency going. And I learned this lesson loud and clear in my sales career. When I first started, I was a terrible employee. I would try to make my buddies laugh over email instead of making phone calls. And one of my best friends in the world, his name's Matt. He worked in the same office as me, different business, but same office. And I would just see him super consistent, showing up and doing the work every day. And he is one of the most successful people I know to this day. And suddenly, I'm a slow learner, 2 years into watching him do this, the light bulb went off. And it's just like, if I start doing exactly what he's doing, but on my business, that's going to compound over time and I'm going to become successful. And it took a few years, but that's what happened. And that's really where consistency first got that light bulb moment in my head. And then I just started applying it to everything in my life.
Mm-hmm. You are so motivated though. And, we've talked about this before. Like when he says consistency, what's like a tool? Like tell them about what do you do?
Yeah. So I think it's important that anything you're trying to be consistent in, you track. We've talked about habit trackers in the past, and you can make this as elaborate as you want or as simple as you want. It can be the simplicity of like the famous Jerry Seinfeld, where he writes a joke every single day. It can be the silliest joke, like a 2-line joke to an extensive joke, but then he puts a big red X on a calendar, like you've done with, your Peloton rides.
Yeah.
So it can just be a calendar where you say you're going to do X today, and then you put a big red X on the calendar for that day. Or you can have this complex Excel spreadsheet, which I've done before, where I'm tracking, all my wellness habits, or I'm tracking like new customer engagement and phone calls where people like engage with me, to phone calls that lead to meetings, all those things. And all that is data, because I knew eventually it took, 10 phone calls to reach 3 people to get 1 meeting. Like I knew the data. So I knew how many calls over time I would have to make to set up meetings in one of my businesses.
But I do think that the tracking has been like the X factor for you. And he is tracking for everything. So, it can be like one extreme to the other, but you are religious about every single night. He lays in bed and he has a clipboard with all his things that he's tracking, and you reflect on your day, which then ties into the celebration piece of the PM wins, because when you're tracking your habits, you also have something to celebrate, which gives you that positive boost and it makes you more motivated to do it the next day. And so, I don't know. I'm from an outsider watching you. I feel like that has been such a big part of your journey, and his consistency is out of this world. It's definitely a growth edge for me that I need to work on.
And it doesn't have to be that extreme.
It doesn't, no.
But realizing the compounding nature of consistency is going to impact any area of your life you're trying to improve.
Right. I started doing mine so simple. I do it on the card. I actually write MMV, which is movement, mindfulness, and meditation, and vitamins. That's literally like where I'm at right now.
Terrible at taking our vitamins.
We've talked about this before. I've gotten better because of the card, because I write MMV and I cross it out when I do it each day. So it's a reminder for me. So it could be something that you incorporate into the cards because you're already utilizing them, or it could be something that's a little bit more extreme. There's so many different forms of habit tracking, but it's a science, right? And that when you talk about consistency, doing it for a specific period of time. Some people say it's 21 days, some people say it's 90 days, but when you hit that mark, it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it becomes so much more easy and ingrained in your schedule.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't start out running 100-mile ultra marathons, It started out by going on my first 3-mile run, and then that built to a 5-mile run. And it was a journey though, to eventually get to that point. And I think a lot of people, they struggle with that, and that's understandable because life happens. And it's just when life happens, it's getting back on the train to realize that was a little blip, and then getting back on being consistent on whatever you're trying to achieve.
So like all of our kind of takeaways, I think a good one for this would be that self-awareness piece again, that like what works for me isn't going to work for you, isn't going to work for somebody else, but really thinking about what do you need to do in order to stay consistent. Is it going to bed at a specific time? Is it waking up? Is it part of your AM routine? Is it part of your PM routine? Do you need to track it? So you have to do the work to figure out what's going to be, give you the most success in that consistency factor. And some weeks it's going to be awesome and you're going to be great and you're going to feel really good. And that is your motivation to keep going.
Yes. And visualize and have the belief system. Like when going back to the sales thing, like when I was making those phone calls, I had this strong internal belief that if I keep doing this, eventually it's going to create a snowball effect and I'm going to achieve success. Mm-hmm. So if it's diet, just be like, eventually I know if I keep making these decisions 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to be super proud of it. And my self-talk's going to be awesome. So really triggering those inner emotions of why you're doing it. So
cool.
All right. Have a fantastic week, and we'll chat next week.
Yes, we will.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning. Time to go.